Ed Lehman Upfit here. In today's video, you're getting a 2-for-1 deal. We got this 4-door JK, getting a MetalCloak 3.5-inch Game Changer with Fox shocks. Super clean 4-door. Then we've also got a 2-door JK, getting a 3.5-inch Game Changer. This one's already got some MetalCloak steering on it. MetalCloak tie rod, drag link, Ruck Sport red steering stabilizer, and he put himself a rough country lift on here, and he's not a big fan. He's had it on here for, I think he said, 3 months, and he doesn't like it because it rides like rough all over the country. So we're gonna get this one inside, and then we're gonna take a peek at the 2-door. We gotta take off the old and put on some gold. So let's check out the parts table on the 4-door first. It is right here. We're gonna put a Falcon steering stabilizer on it, Fox shocks, all new bump stops. His are original junk falling down in there. Of course, MetalCloak Game Changer, all 8 arms, track bars. We're doing the MetalCloak front drive shaft, the dual rate 3.5 springs, and we got tire pressure sensors. It needs new ones. Got a set of them. Rear track bar, brake lines, front rear, swibber end links, track bar bracket for the rear, Fox shocks for the rear, bump stops, frame side bump stops. So that's going to be that one. And then the 2-door looks like this. Pretty sweet. It's got some rock tricks on it. Got some 35 nid hose on it. Rock slide engineer steps. Nice unit. Baja design lights. Get it inside here, and he's got a bunch of Steer Smarts that he bought on a Steer Smart sale. We sell Steer Smarts, but he got them somewhere. So we're going to get this inside, figure out what all he's got to stick on here from Steer Smarts. So we are now adding to the mix. We got the good Steer Smarts drag link, tie rod kit with steering stabilizer, shock, and sector shaft brace. So that's gonna get put on here with the Game Changer. So then over here we have MetalCloak front drive shaft, all of the Game Changer parts with brake lines, Ruck Sport reds, shocks, your bump stops, and then up top we've got our front control arm drops, our rear control arm drops, and our rear track bar riser. So we better get this one torn down, and the 4-door right beside it here. They're cousins. So we better get both of them torn down and get their games changed. So Seth got ahead of me here while I was doing a HVAC concern on a JK. He went ahead and got this one here swapped out. So 4-door now has Game Changer in the rear. You see the control arms, dual rate spring, and like Fox shock upgrade, MetalCloak track bar, another track bar bracket, another Fox shock. He also wanted, these don't come with the Game Changer, but you can get them. He wanted frame side bump stops. His were like your typical JKs, a little bit of age on them. They look like this. Around here anyway, down in the south they don't have this problem, but around here they rot from the rust and their poop. So they're out of here. So we're pulling off this rough country. Like I showed you outside, he's got the MetalCloak steering already on here. We're going to leave the MetalCloak steering. We're going to swap out stabilizer in the front and spring shocks, control arms. So Seth will finish up this rear. I better get started on this 2-door here. I just finished up a different Jeep, so now it's my turn. I got to get caught up with him here. So I'm going to start tearing this one down. I won't show you that because it's boring. But we'll get these arms out of here and go to it. So on this 2-door, I got all of the old stuff off. Some control arms here, some Bilstein shocks, more control arms, track bar, front drive shafts out, rear springs are out, end links are out. Trying to get caught up with Seth here. He's just about finishing up the rear on the 4-door. But he plays fair and I don't, so if I gotta catch his pants on fire to catch up, I will. And also, I've got to put drop brackets in here that he doesn't put in on that 4-door. So that's gonna take me a few extra minutes. So I am going to bolt on some drop brackets and get my control arms in. All right, so I got this rear all the way back together here with these drop brackets in the rear. You have to drill this hole here. You got to drill a little spot in the frame because this bolt's a little bit longer and it goes in so the threads can fit. It's the only drilling you do. Control arms are on, cyber end links are on, Rock Sport Reds, MetalCloak track bar bracket, cyber end links, and same thing over here. So Seth's already got his back together. I'm catching up though. I'm about to, I gotta relocate my vent. He already did his. This vent's not long enough here to fit, so I gotta relocate it and get all that knocked out. And then I'll be moving to the front. On the front of this one, we got drop brackets for it too. Other than that, everything's all stock other than these Bill Steins. We're gonna get them out of there. Rock Sport Red it. And then we're gonna get the steering wheel off of here. So I'll show you this probably when I get it gutted off of here when it starts going back together with the drop brackets. Seth is just starting on the front of the 4-door. It's got the nicer Bill Steins, and it's got frame side bump stops and MetalCloak, all the rest of everything else. And then we've also got a Falcon stabilizer that he wants to stick on here, made for the inch and bar here. So we'll get those on, plus front drive shaft. It's already, old one's out of his too. I pulled it out, I gave him a little head start. So I'm gonna get knocking mine out while he's doing his. All right, so peek at the front here. I got a pile of parts on the ground here of old crusty stuff. And on here, I got our new brackets in. MetalCloak drop brackets, MetalCloak shock relocation brackets. Driver's side, all you gotta do is make this hole here a little bigger where your brake line was. Passenger side, you gotta make that hole a little bigger, and you have to drill this hole here. The other hole's already there. So that's in, brackets are in. I got all this old steering off, just got some end links thrown on here. I had to drill my holes for my bump stops and these perches here. Drill both of them. I already got my MetalCloak spring rubbers up top here. So that's me. Over here, Seth, he's falling a little behind. But that's all right. I had him go and do some estimates in the office, so he did that. So that's where I passed him up. I could have went and did estimates, but I would rather just tell him how much faster I am, so I had him do that. So I'm going to get some holes drilled here, maybe help Seth catch up, and we're going to get springs in. So other than front track bar, the front suspension is done with drop brackets, control arms, Rock Sport Reds. I got to do brake lines yet. Sober end link, I got to put my drive shaft in after I change my flange. Bump stops are in. I'm getting ready to do Steer Smart steering and track bar sector shaft brace. I got the nut on here now. It's on, Loctited, ready to go. So this one here is looking pretty good. Brackets, I think I showed you those, but there's my brackets. Everything on here is ready to go. Seth is putting in bump stops. This one here, this one got bump stops too, the MetalCloak's on the frame side. Pressing those up in there. Sometimes they go easy and sometimes they do not. These ones are not going super easy. So he's doing those, and then I'll help him get caught up after I do some steering. So I just about got the front of this JK 4-door done with all the steer smarts. We've got the sector shaft track bar brace, both in here. Big brace for your track bar, also gets your sector shaft here. The big old steer smarts tie rod, big old steer smarts drag link with their steering stabilizer. So that's about wrapped up here. I gotta lower this one down, do brake lines. I gotta tighten a bunch of stuff up. And then Seth here, he's coming along. He is putting arms in now. So he's gonna get those caught up with me. I'm gonna wash my hands and I'm gonna finish mine up. All right, so it's a new day. TV magic, felt the same to you? Different day for me. I am going to balance some 35 knit toes on these Dirty Life wheels. And as those are doing their thing, woo, hypnotizing. We're getting these two finished up. All I gotta do is brake lines on the 2-door and it's ready to go. Seth's just about caught up with me on the 4-door. Fox shocks are in, control arms are in, MetalCloak Gold. MetalCloak track bar. MetalCloak steering was already on here, and we are swapping it over. He wants a Falcon Nexus 2.1 pass-through, so that's going on here next. Bump stops are in, sway bar disconnects are going in, then the drive shaft. And then this one here will be ready for brake lines. So we're gonna do both brake lines at the same time, back and forth. So I'm gonna get fluid all over my hands today. Might as well just do them both at one time. So we're gonna knock both of them out, and then we'll get these over to the alignment rack after we reroute vents. I gotta reroute vents on this one here yet. See, it's not long enough anymore because we got so much more droop. One of the benefits of some MetalCloak, picking up some droop and no coil spring falling out, which is super nice. And that's at full droop. Got some long shocks in here, it's awesome. So I'm gonna knock those out, then we'll get them over to the alignment rack. All right, so it's time to swap out the front dry shaft here. So we gotta pop off this flange here, right there, pop that flange out so we can put the new flange on. This is the new flange here that comes with a double cardan. So you just zing that nut off, then you get in there, give it a few taps, tap that one out of there, get your new one in there, check everything out, get some Loctite on that nut, tighten it up, and then we can get this dry shaft swapped out. So I'm gonna do both of them, one after the other right now, before I ruin my day with brake fluid all over me. I hate brake fluid on me, it's the worst. Brake fluid's worse than coolant, and I don't like coolant on me either. But brake fluid, nasty stuff. So I'm gonna do both of those right now. So I got the old flange out, it's right here. This old flange transfer case end is made for a Zebra joint on your stock dry shaft. Aftermarket dry shaft, if you got an Adams, a Dana, a MetalCloak, whatever you've got, even a rough country, comes with a flange like this. Point being, figured I better explain the double cardan. So double cardan, you're spreading the angle between two different U-joints versus just one U-joint. So you need a different yoke. So flange goes here, after it goes in the transfer case. On this MetalCloak one, your end down here on a JK, it's still the same as your stock flanges. So I'm gonna take a few minutes, get this one bolted in, Loctite it all up, then get this dry shaft bolted in, Loctite these when they go back in here. These are just a 12.8 mil. So I'm gonna get those knocked out right now. All right, it's the end of the second day here. We got both of these JKs, the 2-door and 4-door, ready for the alignment rack. Front end on this one's all the way back together, and I wasn't sure if I showed you or not, but here's the Steer Smarts steering. We got the tie rod, drag link, steering stabilizer, and track bar sector shaft brace. So that one's all done. Brake lines, MetalCloak brake lines, Rock Sport Reds. This guy doesn't have any inner fender well. I'm going to ask him about that as I pull it over to the other rack here. This one here is all done. Got the Fox shocks on here. Sway bar quick disconnects from MetalCloak, the MetalCloak steering, their brake lines. Oh yes, and yeah, both dry shafts are in. Woohoo! So they are headed over to the alignment rack. I'll do the alignments on them. It's kind of boring. You're not going to enjoy that. And then after that, we'll get them outside. You can see what they look like. Come on down. As soon as this 4-door JK comes off the alignment rack, the 2-door JK with the MetalCloak 3.5 is going on the alignment rack. Let's see what it looks like on its own weight here. It's going to look 8 million times better than it did with no lift, I know that. Especially with these 35s on there. And there it is. Looking sweet. So we'll get it over on the alignment rack, get everything adjusted on it. Next. Then we'll get them both outside beside each other and see how they look. All right, so this 4-door JK is all done. We got it outside. I drove it. It's all fresh aligned and good to go. This is a MetalCloak 3.5-inch Game Changer again. See some gold down in there and get all 8 arms. Fox shocks. MetalCloak quick disconnects. It's got the MetalCloak steering, the Falcon steering stabilizer, MetalCloak drag link. Same thing in the back. MetalCloak arms, springs, brake lines, Fox shocks, MetalCloak track bar, and bracket over here. So that's it for the 4-door. Now it's time to test drive the 2-door as soon as it comes off the alignment rack, and I'll show it to you. So now it's 2-door's turn over on the alignment rack. We got it all squared up, and Seth is torquing and marking bolts, getting it good to go. Then I'm gonna drive it, I'm gonna pull it around and take a look at it. It looks a lot different because it was on stock springs when it got here versus the 4-door was on a rough country lift. So 3.5 inches to 3.5 inches, you don't notice a whole lot. It sure as heck drives a lot different, but 2-door, it looks a lot different. So I'm gonna drive it and we'll take a look at it. So we've got this 2-door aligned, and I drove it and it's all done. Got it sitting outside here before it storms. It definitely looks like we've got a storm coming in. But here's the 2-door with the drop brackets. Looking cool. This is a 3.5-inch Game Changer on a 2-door with 35-inch nittos. So it's got plenty of room to flex and move around, that's for sure. Just kick the can. Better than kicking a bucket. Then on the front here, we did all of the Steer Smart's drag link, tie rod, and stabilizer. It's looking sweet. Awesome looking 2-door. I like it a lot. Makes me want to get in there and work on my LJ today. No time. We'll get to the LJ here in a couple of days. I think the LJ, then the next week I'll start working on it. But anyway, thanks for watching the 2-for-1 deal, 2 JKs, all on one video, both on MetalCloak 3.5-inch Game Changers. So let me know if you guys like videos like this. I'm not going to do how-tos, but I'll do more this is what you got type of videos. There's a MetalCloak, here's a rock crawler, whatever. Next video, probably I've got a 392 rock crawler lift, TerraFlex Falcon 3.3 shocks. It's in the shop right now. I'm doing a video on it. So that one, that Jeep will be done tomorrow probably. So that'll be it. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.